All right, everybody, welcome back to SPX 2024. I'm Rusty.
I'm Joe, and with us is...
Greg Burnham.
Greg, welcome to the interview station. We're having a great time. Perhaps you will have one as well.
Hopefully so.
So tell us, what brings you to SPX?
I've heard, like, over the years how good it was. It's just a place that I like to be as a writer.
Yeah.
Being around people that actually really care. So we do tons of comic conventions, and nothing wrong with them. But, you know, the pop culture type stuff and all that, it feels good to be in a place where, you know, people are here to support, like, indie and smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe a little bit deeper than the surface kind of more.
Yeah. And, like, they're actually going to read, because we sell a lot of books. But then we get a lot of people, it's like, man, I didn't read them.
What'd you think of the book? And they're like,
I think it looks great on my shelf.
Yeah.
I put it in a frame and it's on the wall.
No.
Stop
Books
with
don't go in
it.
frames.
We put a lot of time and heart into this stuff.
Do you know how much work it takes to make this thing?
And then you're just like, oh, I bought it, it's beautiful. And then sit it somewhere. So, you know, this is cool.
So you're exhibiting here?
Yes.
How's it been so far? It's great. It's only been a couple of hours.
It's only been a couple hours, but it's been pretty great.
Good.
I'm not fresh off, a couple of weeks removed from Dragon Con.
Oh, wow.
Which always wears you out.
Yeah.
So this has got a good vibe though, and people are. It's just different. Like
it's a very casual vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like very much like the Hangout Con, just like
everybody.
Like you said, everybody that
really
wants
supportive.
to read. Mm-hmm. People just love comics.
What I like to say, one of my favorite things about the show is, not everything in there is for me. Which sounds like a put down, but in fact, it's the ultimate compliment because not everything needs to be for me, and that means it could be for somebody else.
Yep.
And so I love to see all of these, to me, maybe weird or strange or at least unexpected works, and the more different voices that we can get, the better it gets overall. Because again, everybody in here that wants to buy something, they're looking for something they connect with.
And we're like I'm seeing that like. The people that are next to me or the people that are around me, like people are coming up like, oh my God, this is, you know, I'm a big fan of this book, or this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for. And you do like the diverse, you know, whether it's the, you know, gender, like it's just everything is here.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It is really cool because you want to see somebody find something that they feel like is their special thing.
Yeah, like personal connection.
Everything else is maybe for everybody else, but this thing, I didn't think I did. We had somebody earlier that we were talking with, and their thing is like recipe books in comic format, like cooking books, and that's a very specific niche. But guess what? When there is one, you're not going to see a happier person.
Yeah. Right. No, I'm working on a project. We're like pitching it. But I teased a couple of the images at a show before, and this one kid came up, and it's based off of like a guy that's a chef, and this kid, he's like, so when does this book come out? And I was like, I'm not sure yet. And he's like, is it gonna have like recipes and stuff like that in it too? And I was like, I didn't think about that. So afterwards, I called my co-creator of the book. And he's like, dude, I didn't think about that. But he's like, he cooks and and he was like, we could do some. I was like, yeah, we probably need to. So it's just what you said. It's like being able, and I remember being young, even still to this day, like when I walk up and I see something that, connects with me, it's just, that feeling is amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us about your books.
Yes.
So just a few. I only brought my indie stuff, but I've done some stuff with DC Comics.
Oh, that's awesome.
As well, I'm just a writer, so.
Oh, I didn't want to say it that way.
Yeah,
but trust me, I was thinking.
Say it, but
he's only a writer, guys.
The artists are the rock stars. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I've written a few stories for DC, but Tusky Years here, I guess for the camera. I do this with my co-creator Marcus Williams, and it's a futuristic sci-fi. It takes place towards the end of this century. You have the teenage pilots. They're learning to fly in P-51s, which is like the old World War II
For them,
plane.
very old technology.
Yeah, right. Especially.
But they're going to get
like
upgraded
advanced
to
versions.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That turn into mechs.
So
I don't know
cool.
if they'll be able to see, but I'm going to hold it up anyway.
We'll put some on there.
We'll get it up there.
So that's one. The Search for Sadaka is another one. It's a historical action adventure. The young lady's going to flee Tulsa, Oklahoma after the Black Wall Street massacre. Yeah. And she goes on this quest across the southwest United States trying to find a mythological lost tribe of female warriors. It's actually based on some existing mythologies.
That's cool.
So I get to play around. I'm having fun with this one.
What I found, not to interrupt you, what I find so cool about that concept is you're taking something that's modern day, minus a few decades. You're taking something that's modern day and you're infusing it with supernatural, with things that are unexpected. And it's so often when you get a story like that or an idea like that, you place it in something much further away. You're something like, ancient times, medieval times, and that's when the magic existed. But what's cool is to put something like that in something that we can still touch.
Yeah, and that's like a huge part of it is just telling stories that I wish I would have seen or I wish I could have heard. I think that's what everybody does though, right?
I think to a certain extent that's where people almost naturally go towards.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll hear as a recommendation for people all the time too, is like, write what you want. Write you want to read, make what you want to see, and then the right people will find you.
I was a wee lad when I heard Queen Latifah, this was like in the 90s or maybe even late 80s, and she said something that always resonated with me. She said, write what you feel, write what's genuine to you, and there are going to be other people in the world that will, maybe not everybody,
right?
But, there are going to be people that it'll resonate with.
Yeah, and I think that's a big difference between, like you were talking about, like maybe more mainstream comics, more mainstream fare, and that you're writing something you think will resonate with others as opposed to writing something that resonates with you.
Yeah.
And that can be a tricky thing to negotiate because it's a lot more of a gamble there. At least if it's for you, one satisfied customer.
Right.
Correct.
So what's the third book you got?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and this is a children's book, Swim Kelly Swim. This is my most recent children's book.
Nice.
It's based off a true story. I taught my brother to swim when he was like 2, 3 years old. So I'm at a pool where we lived on military bases. I'm at the pool, probably not paying enough attention to him. He's like 5, but he's supposed to be in the kiddie pool.
Right.
And so you hear all these whistles going off and stuff, and they're screaming, "Get down, get down!"
Oh, no.
And so I look over, and my brother's on the high dive.
Oh my God.
And he's like 5. And so
This can go very wrong.
He's like,
well, no, he can swim.
I'm going for it.
Like, I'm not worried about him not being
What if he
able to
goes
swim.
the wrong way?
It's just the high dive.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
And so they're like, the lifeguards made him get down. And there was a rule at the pool where in order to jump off the diving board, you had to swim the width of the pool in the deep end. So it's like 10 feet. And so they're like, he can't do it. And I'm like, he can swim. They're like, no. I'm like, yeah, he can. Like, they test people.
Right.
They tested me like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
it's like, let him show.
do the test. And I'll swim beside him. And if if anything happens, because, I don't want to die from my mother.
Right.
So I'll make sure, So we jump in and he swims. And it was this really beautiful, genuine moment. Because it's like everybody stopped. It's like
is
probably
so nice.
Yes.
It's probably like 100 people at the pool.
That's amazing.
Everybody stops because it's a huge pool. So people stop and they're like cheering for him.
Wow.
And like the closer we get, the cheers get louder and louder. So it's just like a really beautiful moment.
What's funny is, at 5 years old, I'm sure most of this was lost on him. He was just swimming.
He's like, yeah, this is cool.
If it wasn't for me, the old sage, like constantly telling the story, I'm sure he would have forgot because he was like 5.
He's like, oh, that was the day I swam. Like, yeah.
But then again, my brother doesn't forget anything.
So
What does he think about his story being in a comic?
Oh man, he loves it. And actually, I call last year was his year because he had an idea for a comic. I have it on the table. I forgot to bring it out. It's called The Story of Solus, and he's had this for years. And every time he would try to get like artists and stuff, like he was trying to kind of do it on his own, which is commendable. But I'm like, hey, I kind of know what I'm doing. So if you really want to get this made, then you shut your face and you follow my instructions.
Shut your face.
Yes, like,
I'm the big brother. You have to say.
No, I understand,
listen.
but everything was so nice and sweet. And
Well,
like,
this
if
is
you
just
really
art.
want to make a comic, first of all, shut that pie hole.
Number one, shut your face.
Just
Don't
really
say
just-
anything else.
You gotta bring it down.
Do the stuff that I say.
If you do exactly what I tell you.
Yeah, I got Damon Hampton, who was an artist I met in the DC Comics Milestone Initiative.
Oh, wow.
And so Damon, when we were in California because they like brought us out to DC headquarters. It was great.
That's cool.
And Damon was talking about how he wanted more work, and I was like, well. So Damon did the art. We had fun with it. We're getting ready to do a crowdfund in probably next month for the next issue. But yeah, it's a cool story too.
That's awesome.
So last year was kind of the year for my brother.
And this year, your year?
This year, it's almost over. So last year was like my most productive year as a writer, and then this has so far been my least.
Hey, you know what?
So why
but
don't
they
you
balance out.
Why don't you need to take back last year. That's
I
your
do.
year now.
But I do have stuff coming towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Last year it was like almost every month something was coming.
Oh wow.
Wow.
But yeah, I'll have some stuff coming out soon. The newest issue of Sadaka.
Something you mentioned, I wanted to ask. You grew up on a military base?
Bases.
It is. So moving around.
Did that have any influence in you wanting to do a Tuskegee-based, like, futuristic story?
So definitely. I'm actually like the first man in my family that didn't go to the Air Force.
Oh wow.
So
I'm sure, like, it's like saying I'm the first one in my family to go to college, except the opposite in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Especially emotionally for tons of people.
Yeah, but I was the one that went to college too. So
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're like, I did get that covered.
yeah, but
also
the military. So yeah, like my mother's biological father, his best friend was a mechanic with the 332nd. You know, so I grew up in this.
Wow.
Like I still. It sounds weird, but I was so used to living by flight lines and hearing planes all night.
Sure.
That when we moved away, like the first time I wasn't close, I would be like, "What's this? I don't feel right. This doesn't feel
something's
normal."
off. Like,
My mom grew up in a house near railroad tracks, and so a train was not really noteworthy. Even you would hear it, you might register it, but it wasn't a thing. One day, my buddy Rusty, who I've known for decades, we were going to visit my grandmother.
we were youngsters.
And we were sitting in the car in front of the house, and he's in the back seat, and I'm in the front seat. And the train comes, and he did not know there were train tracks there.
I didn't know there were train tracks. Yeah.
And so to him, there is suddenly a train nearby
It'd be like
where
sitting
it should
here
not be.
and hearing a train outside. And I'm like, hold on, what is that? Where's and now as if there was going to be a train on the street? Like, come
Just
on.
coming down the alleyway.
But my idiot self was like, why?
So
Why is there a train
that's,
nearby?
that's what I thought about when you said
Yeah.
not having the plane sounds.
Like that roar was so soothing.
Oh,
Except
yeah.
for like when a plane would explode or something, because that did happen one time.
Oh Jesus.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know
Just the one
if
time,
you guys
that's
are
okay.
old enough to remember, but it was like the late 80s. I want to say like 88 or 89.
Mm-hmm.
And a DC-10 exploded on a flight line.
Yeah.
It was at the
Oh,
base
yes.
that I lived in.
Oh, wow.
I could look out my window and see
Whoa.
the plane.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, that's how close we were.
Wow.
And me and my friend, we were walking down the stairs. It sounded like somebody dropped a baby grand piano.
Oh my God.
Like it was so loud, the ground was shaking. It was crazy.
When you hear something that loud, there's a moment where you're like, is it ever going to stop?
Yeah. Like
and-
it's, the whole world is making that noise basically.
And then one of my favorite cousins. So I always lived on Air Force bases, so it was normal. That was my normal life.
Yeah.
And my cousin, like, they came to visit one time, and he was like super paranoid, and he was looking around. I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "Man, you don't ever think about like if somebody tries to attack y'all or something like that?" And at that time, we're like in the middle of Missouri. I'm like, who's coming? Like,
Yeah,
how
right,
you,
like here?
how you gonna
No.
get this far?
This is also a very bad plan for whoever's thinking that.
Right.
This is the base.
Y'all chose the worst possible spot.
But I was like 9, so that started making me think.
Oh,
like,
no, yeah.
Oh, it's possible.
But maybe.
And
I
then
never considered it.
our base was actually put on. So there was a miniseries called The Day After
Okay.
in the 80s. It was about nuclear war.
Okay, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
And they mentioned our base. So part of it took place in Kansas City, which is where my grandparents lived. It's like an hour away. So when that show came out, and they actually mentioned our base, because we were like
Wow.
one of the top nuclear missile bases. I don't think I slept for like a year.
Oh, no.
I was
That's
just
rough.
laying in bed like this. I'm gonna die.
Like,
And what's
So-
funny is nothing actually changed except your perception
My
of events.
perception.
yeah.
Yep.
Now
That's
there
wild.
suddenly it became possible. Then it was an issue.
Would you like to answer a mystery question?
Sure.
Oh,
Sweet.
man. I love the
Do
hesitation.
I have to get
here.
the answer right?
No, it's,
Okay.
it's open-ended. You'll see.
Yes.
You're going to come up with the right answer no matter what. We're going to bring in the little quarter truck. Let's do it.
There you go.
So you're going to need a quarter to retrieve your question.
Okay. Oh, so put a quarter in?
Yeah. Pop
Yeah.
the quarter on in.
When we got this machine, we could have had it not require quarters, and yet here we are.
All right, and then there you go.
All right, let's bring this bad boy back. Put it into its question cave.
Yes. It's definitely a two-handed pop open.
All right.
What's your question?
What's a song you think about too much?
Too much.
Currently? It's got to be currently, right? So LL Cool J just dropped an album with Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest. He's a producer, and A Tribe Called Quest is my favorite thing that ever existed.
Oh, nice.
So they had this song called Proclivities.
Okay.
And he sampled like a Gary Newman song from like the 80s.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I listened to it in my hotel room probably for like while I was writing.
Yeah.
Listened to it for probably like 2 or 3 hours on repeat. So I think that would be the song right now.
There is something
That fits
about
perfectly.
one of those songs where you genuinely cannot get enough of it.
Yep.
And as it repeats, you start to go, do I want to listen to it again? But before you know it, you're right in the middle.
Yeah, and it starts again. You're like, oh, we're doing it. Okay.
And the way that they made the song, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but if you are using the repeat function, it's almost like as soon as it's over, it loops right back on
man.
time.
That's like somebody
it just
that makes
seems
one of the,
almost
like a really
like-
good TikTok or something where
Yeah.
they build it in for the loop.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you're thinking on another level, right?
Yeah, and I think he may have done that on purpose, but I don't know.
If not, what an amazing coincidence. Because you could have just been trying to go for symmetry.
It's really on time. It's a little off, but it almost is seamless.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Before we let you go, where can people find out more about your
Yes.
work online?
I'm on Instagram, Greg_Burnham7, and then Tuskegee Airs everywhere. Facebook, Greg Burnham. I think on TikTok, I'm just Greg Burnham.
Excellent.
So,
And so what I was going to say is this year, SPX 2024, we've added a new feature to our interviews, and that is the prize gallery. You can choose any prize you want that features our head.
Any goofy prize with
There
our
is a
faces
deck
on
of
them.
cards, there's a set of coasters, a pot holder, a placemat, a puzzle, a tea towel, a blanket that is too big to unfurl.
Far too big.
We have a keepsake box in which you can keep your sakes. We have a ceramic mug of traditional size and not pictured because somebody took it. We have another camping style mug. It's a little teeny mug. We have a pillow with our heads on the sides there and a shopping bag. Would you like any of these?
I mean, I would love one, but I got to figure out which one.
Sure, no
It's
problem.
an important decision.
There
I
is
understand.
no pressure here except we'll judge you.
And we have multiples of everything. So
Yeah, so yeah,
absolutely
don't
pick
feel
out
bad.
whatever you
You know,
want.
I think maybe the puzzle, because
Puzzles are
Nice.
fantastic.
I like to do puzzles. It helps me to like my brain for like when I'm writing and stuff like that.
When I designed this puzzle, I tried to add some ornamentation to make it at least a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Because there's just a whole
Add a
bunch
little
of
challenge
primary
to it.
colors in there.
Right. Yeah, no,
So,
that's,
yeah, grab
that's
it. There
good.
you go.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
If we can reach it, we can
Can
show
you-
it off.
okay, cool.
Look
Hold
at
on.
this.
Nice.
There's his prize. He chose the puzzle. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us.
Yes, we appreciate it.
I
This
hope
is
you have
great.
a great time at the rest of the show.
Thank you guys. This has been awesome.
And just try to meet some new friends and make some new enemies.
Yes.
Awesome. I always got to make an enemy.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't made an enemy in 30 plus years.
I mean, how
think.
can
Guys,
how
do
can you know who your
X, Y,
friends
count?
are if you don't have an enemy?
I mean, they can, you know.
Oh, I mean, Rusty has some enemies.
Yeah, I mean.
He has some enemies, and at least one of them is here.
I was going to say, I have an enemy here.
Okay, I'm going
I
to
can
keep
tell
an
you.
eye out.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
Are we
is Rusty.
talking like
If you-
knuckle up?
If you
type
see me
enemy?
side-eyeing, you'd be like, hold on, where's
Oh,
that going
oh,
to? Okay.
no. Oh, he's tightening his shoes up. What's going to
Oh,
happen?
man, this is...
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
This is
it.
awesome.
Thanks.
You guys are awesome.